Sardeson stopped purchasing built race cars and started owning race cars that were built by himself and famed driver Kevin Larkins in the early 1980s. Sardeson has built sportsman, late model, hobby stock, and modified chassis and sold products for years. Ron was instrumental in the development of the IMCA modified cage kit for Speedway motors that he started to build in 1992. Prior to building his own race cars and hiring drivers, Sardeson was a well-respected owner for many drivers in the late 1970s and into the 1980s. Showcasing his versatility and expertise, Sardeson started building asphalt chassis in the 1990s. Sardeson's impact on the racing community is not just as a chassis builder, but as a parts supplier as well. It has been known that over the past 4 decades, almost anyone who has raced a race car in Nebraska or the surrounding areas has either piloted or purchased racing products from Ron and Jeannie Sardeson. At this time, I would like proudly ask that Ron Sardeson please come to the stage. Ron, we talked the other evening, and it was clear that your road to the Hall of Fame involved a lot of people. Tell us about the people that have been part of your success as a car builder and how all that kind of transpired.
Well, just the people that we built cars for were more than customers; they were friends. They were customers, but they became real good friends, and that just helped the whole family.
I talked to Kevin a little bit, and Kevin was talking about some races down at I-70. When you guys went down there and the fun that you'd have and how dominant it was. And, I look back to, anybody and everybody had one of your cars, I was thinking about when I was racing, Marvin Fuller and the Zeitners and all those people. And I looked at the back of a Sardeson car for a long time, and as a matter of fact, bought my first race car from you, my first modified in 1996. Did you ever have a vision that Sardeson Racing would become what it was with the parts distributorships, building late models, pro-ams, and ultimately the modifieds? You and Jeannie, I remember, at that time, there was car builders like Cam Chassis and that group, Phil Kemp, out in our area, that it was a big deal because they were a dealer for Sardeson Racing. So you were kind of one of those that set the groundwork for everybody. And I guess, did you vision that, when you were doing that, it would ever become what it was?
No, it's just something that evolved over time. It was just that we had a good following, and it kept getting stronger, and we led into different areas.
So you drove a little bit in the beginning. It sounded like you and Silmans got to work together, and then you guys had split off on. Is that right?
Yes, that's how I started racing.
I guess. Like I said before, you're responsible for so many of the car builders, I believe, in this area and many other areas. Larkins Racing, Kevin was your first full-time employee, We got, you got Jet Racing now. I remember Johnny's first modified, he come out to, I remember seeing him at Sunset, in a Larkins car that wouldn't have been without, you being there before that. And, Kaziski's, started building cars. Ultimately your predecessor Slider, that took over your company, Jeremy Lighting, Big Dog Chassis, Dirt Boss Chassis. I could go on and on and on about, what you and Jeannie have created, that you put the modified chassis on the map, not just in Nebraska, but in a lot of areas. I feel like that, Dirtworks, all those people, you were in that era when all you guys were getting together and building the modified.
Yeah, it was a venture that was evolving all the time.
So tell me a little bit, about your relationship with Speedway Motors. I know that the IMCA kit car ultimately won an IMCA national championship with Danny Wallace driving it, I believe. And I know Carson was involved. Carson Smith was involved in that program too. But tell us a little bit about that. I know you've done a lot of the cage kits. There's so many things that you were a part of the success that Speedway Motors had. That the things that you did and probably continue to do today.
Yeah, we we were building modifieds, and Speedway decided that they wanted to get into the modifieds. They wanted to sell a kit. And so I got together with Carson Smith, and he came out to the shop for a couple of weeks and took a lot of pictures and stuff. And basically we took our car that we was already building, made it look a little bit different so it wasn't a direct copy of the car we were building, and it's something they could market on their own. And then we built all of those cars for them throughout the years, which was that at that time that was just a cage kit.
It's fantastic. I know there was a lot of them that went out. I can't count how many trade shows between Grand Island, Hastings, Columbus, Omaha, Sioux City, Denver, all the places that you and Jeannie had traveled. Is there anybody that you would like to thank, for your success, and maybe thank for being here with you tonight?
Well, I couldn't even begin to start, but first off, I'd like to thank my wife, Jeannie, and my daughter, Melissa, my daughter, Jenny. Would you guys stand up? Please. The last time I raced a lot, so I could do what I wanted to do. And it took everybody. It's all of the employees that I had. It's everybody. And I had a list of a lot of different people that worked for me, and they were all like a family. If I could, I'd like to thank a few of them.
When you get through that, I would just hope that you would have spanked Kevin Larkins' ass a little bit more if you were such.
Well, Kevin was first on my list here, if I could. Some of the people that worked for me, and also then some of them didn't race at the time. Kevin is one of them. Basically, right after he started racing is when he came to work for me. Just some of the others that worked for me. Mike Meyer. He started as sweeping the floor. And then when he went to get into racing, he figured, well, I need a better price. So what did he do? He started dating my daughter. so that got him in on a little bit better price.
So today you're spending his money.
Yeah, that's what he says. I'd like to thank, and everybody, just about every person that worked for me is still a friend. Bob Ward, very, very much so. Mike Hammett, Scott Stisco, I don't think he's here tonight. Todd Sanford, Buzz Wilson, Steve Adams, Alan Lynn, Jim Schaefer, who's no longer with us. As you know, that I sold my business and retired, or I was supposed to retire 3 years ago. I didn't. I still have an employee, Tim Tippett, who used to help me from the time I was a teenager, but I can't get rid of him. He won't quit, so he still comes to work. It's like you're only as good as the people around you, and I feel I'm real good because I have a lot of good people around me. I would also like to thank, before we get off, what Joe Worth, Mr. Gropp do for your extra time, what you do for the whole racing community. Joe, it is appreciated. You don't get much accolades. Yeah, you can talk. That's too big for me. But anyway, I'd like to thank everybody. I'd like to thank the board.
Ron, congratulations to you, Jeannie, your family, all that have been part of this journey to the Nebraska Racing Hall of Fame. Congratulations.